Welcome back to Dying to Retire. Today, we're going to be going over my comments I did to an Andy Knows post in which he wrote up a nice little synopsis of Fox News's interview with the recently fired FEMA supervisor, the one who sent out the text message to her officers to avoid houses with Trump signs or paraphernalia. My response kind of blew up a little bit for me on X, so it's kind of interesting. Now, what I wrote, it's going to be up here for you to read, but I'm going to read it myself for those in Radio Land. In short, she claims that both she and FEMA interpreted the display of a Trump sign or flag as a threatening act or act of aggression. This echoes past instances where displaying a cross, Star of David, or a U.S. flag has been labeled as Islamophobic, etc., etc. Who are the real haters here? And I stand by that comment right there because I wrote about what she did. She still feels to this day, after watching the interview, all she did was put in a text message to her staff, a standing but not publicly acknowledged or documented FEMA policy that the act of having a Trump flag or signs on their property was to be regarded as an act of aggression. She put something out, it's like having a rabid, or I think she said vicious dog in the yard. And I can honestly say, after watching this interview, she still thinks Orange Man bad. Now, that's her prerogative. She can have that personal opinion, but her professional comportment should have been something else. I also, after watching this video, really think she doesn't think she did anything bad by avoiding those houses that had Trump written on them. I don't think she thought it was bad at all. And she's, again, like I said, equated that to having a vicious dog chained to the front of the house. So that's a little problematic to me. So this is not just about this now known FEMA fiasco. It's about the fundamental shift where the very principles that founded America, faith and patriotism, are now allowed, even encouraged by some in the government and academia and media, etc., to be misconstrued as hate and aggression. Just name a phobia or ism, and we will be labeled it. One of my core problems with all of this is, imagine you are retired and you have a home you built. You could be an old ass person like myself, or you could be one of those financially independent, retire early folks. And you've picked a nice, quiet place to be low stress, stay away from a whole lot of stuff. It's in the country, and your shit is hit by a natural disaster. Something you don't plan for. Even the people thought they were above flood level got nailed. And you're distressed. Within 5 minutes after coming out alive and realizing you're alive, trying to find family members, the pet and everything else like that, you're distressed. And when it comes time for FEMA to be there helping, the government agency that's supposed to help you, you noticing they're completely avoiding your home, your street, and your neighborhood. And other than the fact that your homes are destroyed, you look around and notice one common theme. You all potentially have Trump flags up, or you put them back up, or they were scattered in your yard, and they're skipping you. Now, to make matters worse, mainstream media gaslit everybody when this was brought up to them by saying, no, this isn't happening. But when it became known to them, mainstream media never said, my bad, we're going to investigate to get to the bottom of this. It took independent journalists to do this, and sites like X and others to go after people and to start acknowledging this is what has happened. What's also bad by the mainstream media, they defended the bad apples who did this. Trump signed no entry per leadership. They thought, well, it makes sense. It is equivalent to a rabid dog. Trump people are nasty. It's not true, but that was their perception that they wanted to push out to the masses. Now, most of us boomers and y'all early Gen Xers, we were raised on the idea that faith and patriotism are not just symbols, but are actually the bedrock to what our nation was founded upon. That's why many of us went to the military right out of high school or as soon as we were able to do and gave back to our country. Now, here's where there's some irony in all of this. To me, the foundation of much of this mass stupidity is that we have been too tolerant of the intolerant for far too long, especially those groups who hate America, be they domestic or foreign, but they all run interference, and we know who we're talking about. We have allowed our expression of faith and national pride to be equated to aggression and hate, as we are somehow more menacing and dangerous than a vicious or rabid dog, as she spoke about. So this goes way beyond vote Trump Vance 2024, way beyond. It's a systematic issue. And for those of us who are retired, or for those of y'all getting ready to retire, this will be literally about your survival in retirement. Because this is, unless we do a shift, a 180, this is not going to be good. I'll take a 90-degree turn too. But if we don't get this fixed, we're in some heavy-duty bad shit. Now, here's the biggest irony of them all. These same woke leftist individuals who used to scream left and right, defund the police, and replace the police with social or aid workers, because that's what's really needed to de-escalate these bad situations. When the Trump signs were on the line, their compassion fucking flew out the window faster than their common sense. Think about it. Trump sign was so egregious you couldn't handle it, but if it's a rapist, gangbanger, killer, mugger, anything like that, that they were mad the police had to do lethal force to stop a very bad person, which they now say, or they claimed with their Monday morning quarterbacking, oh, you should have had a therapist in there. But a Trump flag or a Trump sign was far worse than that. That's dangerous thinking. That's here in America today. So let's wrap this up. And it's a question of fairness and a message to FEMA. When did expressing our traditional political or Judeo-Christian values and religious beliefs become a reason for our government to justify withholding emergency aid? This isn't about who's on the right, who's on the left. It's about what is actually right and what is actually wrong. And like I said before, for us in retirement, we're particularly screwed on this one because this is what's going on and we're watching it. And for those in FEMA, I highly recommend that you guys remember your roots and your federal oath. Your mission wasn't to judge. It isn't to judge. It is to assist. But if you disregarded stupid rules like that, what I call an unlawful order, and actually went out and helped people no matter what was on the door, they could have had Harris Waltz, they could have had BLM, could have had anything on there, and you still went in there to help people, kudos to you, because that is the backbone of this nation. You didn't lose sight of the mission. This is where you guys can help me. Have you been a victim of this political discrimination during the hurricanes or because you had a sign in front of your house? Can you put in the comments below, describe what happened, let us all know? We need to return to an America where you can put out your political signs without fear of being targeted, without fear of being terrorized in your house, and where the signs don't dictate your worth nor your right to receive disaster aid. That's it for today. I'm Doug. This is Dying to Retire. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.